as far as the business of boxing.
The best thing is a fighter needs to take almost everything.
You paid all that money and had the biggest stage in boxing on Netflix, and that is really the best they could do?
He knew that he could not beat Bud Crawford, which is why they basically paid him $100 million.
Canelo has admitted that he took it easy on Crawford, speaking on Joe Rogan's podcast about how the fight went. He explained that he didn't give his full effort in the ring and held himself back, fighting at half pace, staying flat-footed, and letting Crawford appear better than he actually was. He also acknowledged that money and business played a role, admitting he was paid to take it easy and not fight with his usual intensity.
Well, how does that work? Because it's not pay-per-view. Do they still...
Netflix putting up the money.
So I'm saying, so they don't get no back end then?
No, there is no back end. There's ticket sales.
Yeah, because pay-per-view, the back end is the most.
There's no pay-per-view.
I guess if you give me $50 million up front, I don't really care about the back end.
Canelo's statement backed up what many people in boxing were already saying in the days after the fight, as fans and professionals quickly sensed that something about his performance felt wrong. He hardly used his jab, a weapon that has always been central to his success, and he never settled into the combinations or steady pressure that usually define his style against an opponent like Crawford. Instead, he threw mostly single punches, stood still for long moments, and showed little urgency even as the rounds continued to slip away. The statistics supported this impression, showing some of the lowest punch totals of his career. At first, many assumed this was simply age or a natural decline, but his own admission completely reshaped how the fight was viewed.
He don't have the punching power, but he has the skills that's necessary.
Crawford.
Yeah.
So you were very impressed with his performance? Would you say?
Well, yeah. The point of the matter is, I knew if it came down to if somebody got knocked out, I thought Crawford would probably get knocked out.
Yeah.
But I know about Fox.
Oscar de la Hoya was among the first to openly question what he saw, posting his doubts online just hours after the fight. He pointed out that while Canelo may have looked slower than usual, this level of sluggishness and lack of strength didn't make sense to him, even raising the question of whether Canelo truly trained or was paid to lose. For de la Hoya, who promoted Canelo for years and knew his habits well, the performance felt completely unfamiliar. This was not the fighter he remembered. Having watched Canelo in training camps where his sharpness, speed, and punch volume were always clear, de la Hoya felt this showing was the total opposite. Seeing him fight Crawford, he was convinced that age alone could not explain what happened.
When he got hit by Crawford and he took that deep breath, he's frustrated. Don't get me wrong. Canelo facing the right opponent that's going to stay in front of him, that's going to fight, that's going to make it a brawl, Canelo knocks him out. So I'm not saying Canelo's shot or done. No, it's far from it.
Veteran fighter Gabe Rosado shared the same concerns, saying Canelo looked stuck in place, barely used his jab, threw no real combinations, and relied on one punch at a time. To Rosado, that kind of performance is what you expect from a fighter long past his best years, not from an active champion still holding major titles. His remarks line up closely with what Canelo has since admitted. In past fights against Golovkin and other top opponents, Canelo consistently doubled his jab, fired sharp combinations, and applied constant pressure, but as Rosado noted, none of those familiar traits were present when he faced Crawford.
Watching Bud catch those shots off his glove,
he looked amazing.
So amazing.
Yeah, he looked good.
Yeah. He'd go to a body and he'd catch that and come up with an uppercut. Just all those things that seem...
He looked great.
Yeah, I've never seen anybody do that to ever.
No one has. Yeah, he's the best.
Canelo. Ever.
Yeah, he's the best.
And I think he would do that to Canelo on his best day. And Canelo said it, he goes, I couldn't figure him out.
No.
Which is...
Claressa Shields also felt that Canelo's body was simply breaking down, saying he could no longer move well, throw combinations, or rely on his legs, which to her looked like the natural wear of a long career catching up to him. At the time, that explanation made sense to many observers. David Benavidez, one of Canelo's most vocal rivals, has long claimed that Canelo avoids certain risks, and before the Crawford fight he argued that Canelo chose matchups where he held clear advantages while passing on fights that truly challenged him. After the fight, Benavidez repeated that belief, saying Canelo no longer seemed interested in taking real risks.
Any advice for them for his boxing business?
Because the fighters always get the less money, and some of the fighters they need to take the money, the guaranteed money, right? Because they don't make a lot of money in the fights, right? But they are as a fighter,
According to Benavidez and several others, Canelo was mainly chasing a massive payday, and while some people were surprised by that idea, Benavidez said this behavior was nothing new and predicted it is exactly what Canelo will keep doing. Oscar de la Hoya, speaking to FightHub, said the result had less to do with decline and more to do with style, pushing back on the idea that Canelo is finished but admitting his future depends heavily on smart matchmaking. De la Hoya explained that if Canelo faces the right opponent, someone who stands in front of him, comes forward, and turns the fight into a brawl, Canelo can still knock them out. He made it clear he does not believe Canelo is done, but stressed that everything now depends on who is put in front of him and how promoters aim to squeeze the last big dollars out of the fans.
Canelo is a strong fighter, and every punch he throws comes with power, right? That breaks down the body. Physically, his body is breaking down. Plus, he just had a kid. Canelo wants to go enjoy his life. He wants to keep his wits, keep his mind together, stay sharp, and go enjoy a little bit of that money that he just made. But he could not pass the torch to somebody that didn't respect the game. Canelo's at the top of the list. But Terence...
According to De La Hoya, many believe Canelo can still win at the highest level, but mainly against opponents whose styles suit him. Eddie Hearn views it differently, and in comments to Sports Illustrated, he focused on the business and competitive importance of a rematch with Crawford. For Hearn, the real attraction is whether Canelo can quiet the retirement talk, as fans want to see if he can make real adjustments or if Crawford will push him closer to walking away. Hearn said Canelo could shock everyone by changing his approach, pointing to his history of adapting and reinventing his game. He believes Alvarez is capable of adding new tools and using a refreshed skill set to seriously trouble Crawford.
Oh, Mac, you've been training Crawford for years. Is he retired or is he going to keep fighting?
He just got to take a break.
Is Terence Crawford retired or is he going to keep fighting?
Oh, he's going to keep fighting.
He's going to keep fighting?
Yeah.
You're the man. Be man. Hey, congratulations. Enjoy the win.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In the first fight, Canelo looked strong early, taking charge of the opening rounds with sharp counters that kept Crawford hesitant, but the fight changed late. From rounds 9 through 12, Crawford took control, landing cleaner punches and pushing Alvarez into a defensive mode. For many watching, that late stretch decided the fight. Hearn believes that if Canelo manages the later rounds more effectively, the result could swing in his favor in a rematch.
We already know. We knew Crawford is a great fighter, and I did what I supposed to do, right? I tried for every way, and I trained really hard, and he deserved all the credit. No, I try.
Chris Eubank Jr. shares that optimism, calling a second fight huge and saying Canelo still has the tools to turn things around, with experience and power that remain dangerous if used correctly. His view reflects what many fighters believe: Canelo's weapons are still lethal, but he must be willing to adapt. Trainer Robert Garcia also supports a rematch, saying hunger will be the deciding factor. He told FightHub that Alvarez needs to avoid the strategic errors from the first fight and maintain his power advantage from start to finish instead of letting up late. Garcia's perspective echoes a common theme in boxing. Canelo's skills are intact, but the mental drive to use them fully will shape the next chapter of his career.
I would love to see the rematch. I think in the rematch, if he comes back with the hunger that he needs, he could beat Crawford. Because Crawford, is very talented, but I think Canelo could beat him. Canelo's strong, man. Canelo's strong. Canelo could take a good punch. So I think he could just go and don't respect his punch and throw punches even though you're gonna get hit, but don't.
For Crawford, the win over Alvarez, whether intentional or not, has opened new opportunities, but questions remain about his next opponent. Some analysts expect him to steer clear of the riskiest challengers, like David Benavidez, Dimitri Bivol, Diego Pacheco, or Bektimir Malikov, who all bring size and power that could challenge Crawford's skills. These matchups carry high risk and uncertain reward. Instead, many predict he will opt for fights against marketable names that offer big paydays but less danger, such as Jermall Charlo or Hamza Shiraz.
A potential rematch, as a Canelo fan, I don't really want to see that. I don't think there will be much difference. I don't think Canelo can bring anything to the table that's going to surprise Crawford. He's a different fighter now. If this was 10 years ago, yes, I think the fight could have gone a different way. But there's no point in even thinking that, because Canelo's a different fighter now. They fought today. They fought when Crawford is older as well, so I can't be trying to say, well, Canelo's not in his...
The business side of boxing is a major factor here. Crawford's win has put him in a spot where he can demand huge paydays, but how long he maintains that leverage depends on the opponents he chooses. At the same time, Canelo's choices will also shape the sport's landscape. If he goes straight for redemption against Crawford, it could capture massive global attention. If he takes a different path, perhaps choosing opponents whose styles favor him, it could signal that his career is entering its final stage.
Between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. Personally, I do not want to see a rematch. Usually rematches are in order when it's a very close fight and you can't really tell, which fighter won. There was a lot of close rounds, swing rounds. That wasn't the case in this fight. Terence Crawford won pretty handedly. I personally scored the fight 9-3. Being generous, you can give it 8-4. Now,
even though Canelo is being criticized for chasing the money, many believe no amount of cash can undo the position he put himself in by taking the huge payday against Crawford. Boxing has reached a point where financial incentives drive everything. Age or slowing performance doesn't matter if the fight promises massive revenue. That's exactly what happened here. Canelo was already showing signs of decline, but the Crawford fight was too lucrative to pass up. The issue is that while the money keeps coming, the toll on a fighter's body continues, and for Canelo, this might have been the one payday too many.
The Coca-Cola I'm buying. I risk my life in the ring, and everybody's making money too. It's not that they don't making money; they making money, but the fighter need to make more than everybody.
Coach Ronnie Shields spoke out immediately after the loss, saying he believes Canelo should retire. In an interview with FightHub TV, he explained that what he saw against Crawford was enough. Canelo lacked energy, sharpness, and the ability to control the pace or pressure his opponent like he used to. For Shields, this isn't about changing trainers or adjusting tactics, it's about age. He said, "No coach alive can save Canelo at this stage. Fire Eddie Reynoso, hire someone new, it won't matter. His body isn't responding anymore, and once that happens, no amount of training can reverse it."
Name to have just one name at 160, 154. I mean, it's just hard for him, ideally, to just see a fight. No names resonating at the moment. Would you be okay to see him retire?
I would. Look, he's had a great career also. Yes, he's older, but...
However, Oscar de la Hoya offered a different perspective, suggesting there might still be ways for Canelo to extend his career. As a promoter, he believes a change in trainer, potentially even bringing in someone like Shields, could refresh him and keep him competitive. Shields, however, quickly dismissed that idea, saying the problem runs much deeper. Canelo has been competing at the highest level since his teens, enduring years of fights, grueling training camps, and punishment, while Crawford has fewer bouts and fresher legs. Shields emphasized that Canelo's body is essentially warning him to stop, and the longer he ignores it, the more severe the consequences will be.
Yeah, look, I mean, the only thing I can tell him or give him advice in is get a new trainer. I can't advise him on retiring or staying in box. That's a very personal decision. But I can say, hey, get a new trainer.
And the signs are hard to ignore. Ever since the Dimitri Bivol fight in May 2022, Canelo hasn't looked like his old self. He's still winning, but without the same dominance. He hasn't stopped anyone, has looked fatigued in the later rounds, and has been fighting opponents he could beat even while slowing down. Crawford was a different challenge. Canelo couldn't overpower him with size, and as the fight went on, his conditioning showed its limits. Shields is right. The body always tells the truth eventually.
Now, if we see a fight where Canelo Alvarez looks old, then guess what? He's old. Right? And it might be a case of him being less than he was. And it'll...
Interestingly, Shields also offered surprising advice for Crawford, suggesting he should consider retirement soon, perhaps after one more fight. At 38, Crawford is still sharp, but many feel it's wise to step away before decline sets in. Shields even recommended dropping to 160, winning a belt there, and then retiring, because staying at 168 is risky with younger, hungrier, and stronger contenders. He pointed out that facing someone like Christian Mbili would be dangerous. Mbili is relentless and non-stop, never giving his opponents a chance to breathe. Crawford managed Canelo because Canelo had slowed and left space, but against a younger, more relentless fighter, that advantage wouldn't exist.
Floating around as a potential opponent for Canelo, but the big question has been, is Christian ready for that opportunity? Is he ready for the moment? Do you feel after this Saturday that you are ready for a fight with whoever wins the fight against Crawford and Canelo?
I've been ready. Yeah, I've been ready. Yeah. I've been ready for this.
But retirement doesn't always match reality, especially when big money is involved. Crawford is now the undisputed 168-pound champion and one of boxing's biggest stars. That's why Turki Alshik quickly started teasing David Benavidez, asking if he could still make 168, a clear hint that he's pushing for a Crawford versus Benavidez matchup. That's exactly the kind of fight that sparks excitement and, more importantly, can generate tens of millions in revenue.
You want to fight Canelo? Would you ever entertain a fight with the Mexican monster David Benavidez? But you want Canelo. But you want Canelo.
You gotta understand, like.
But I gotta ask you, bro, because I can't, you know.
My thing is, Benavidez is a big dude. You know what I mean? Not to say I won't fight him. I fought his brother.
Crawford has admitted he's weighing his options. In an interview with Ring Magazine on X, he said he plans to discuss with his team whether to drop to middleweight or stay at super middle. The issue with middleweight is simple. The money isn't there. Champions like Janabek, Alam Connolly, Eris Landil, Lara, and Carlos Adams are solid fighters, but none are stars who can sell pay-per-views, excite fans in the US or UK, or convince Turkey to write a huge check. Shields is right that Crawford could win a belt at 160, but from a financial perspective, it doesn't make sense.
There's still a need for Benavidez.
Who? Canelo?
Turkey
people,
dropped.
You know, people are talking about it.
Turkey hinted at that. He was like Benavidez.
Yeah, he
Turkey,
did.
So.
Turkey just posted that this morning, wondering if Benavidez can make 168. Maybe he has plans or ideas of maybe trying to match up Benavidez and Terence Crawford.
No,
no, I ain't doing that fight. Maybe playing on.
That's why Benavidez is seen as the golden ticket. The main question is whether he can comfortably make 168, but if he can, the matchup would be huge. Benavidez is young, undefeated, and eager to prove himself against an elite opponent. Crawford may be older, but with his skill set, fans believe he still has a real chance, even with a weight disadvantage. Online reactions were immediate. Some think Crawford would outbox Benavidez and win easily, while others argue that Benavidez's size and pressure could finally overwhelm him. Either way, everyone agrees it's a fight worth making.
Need this fight. It's a storyline there. You beat my brother. I need that revenge. I'm the Mexican monster. You a pound for pound great. You coming up. Let's do it. If Terence Crawford beats David Benavidez, I don't even think he needs to fight Canelo. You automatically have to put Terence Crawford in top 5 or top 10 all time.
Other names are also being considered. Dmitry Bivol and Artur Beterbiev at 175 are possibilities, and a win there would be historic for Crawford. Jiren Andis and Virgil are still around, but both compete at welterweight and don't generate the same excitement now that Crawford has cleared that division. Sebastian Fondora is another option, though he's more of a wild card. The reality is, the only fights that truly make sense for Crawford at this point are the ones that sell big. His legacy is already secure. What's left is the money.
Bivol, Bud, next, since Bud's so strong. That's what I said. Why you talking about 54? None of them dudes gonna get you up. If you truly beat Canelo, why not be the greatest fighter in the existence of boxing? Like, Bivol was the only dude to beat 2 undisputed active champions. Like, he beat Canelo as an undisputed champion, and he beat Beterbiev as an...
And that's really the state of boxing today. The sport no longer revolves around mandatories or rankings. It's driven by which fights generate the biggest global buzz. With Turkey's deep pockets changing the game, fighters like Crawford are in the ideal position to benefit. That's why, even with voices like Ronnie Shields urging retirement, it's hard to see Crawford stepping away just yet. The money is too enticing, the stage too grand, and the chance to make history still within reach.
Oh, Mac, you've been training Crawford for years. Is he retired or is he going to keep fighting?
He just got to take a break.
Is Terence Crawford retired or is he going to keep fighting?
Oh, he's going to keep fighting.
He's going to keep fighting?
Yeah.
You're the man, B-Man. Hey, congratulations. Enjoy the win.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fans online are already mapping out fantasy paths for Crawford. Some suggest he should win a middleweight title, then move up to light heavyweight to face Bivol or Beterbiev. If he pulled that off, he'd become only the second man in history to claim titles in 7 weight classes, putting him in a conversation even Mayweather never reached and further strengthening his case as the greatest of all time. Others argue, forget 160, Forget 175, just fight Benavidez next and give fans the clash they've been waiting for. Either way, it's clear that money is driving nearly every decision. Canelo's loss to Crawford showed that fighters are willing to risk everything if the payday is right.